Should you plan time for sex with your woman?
Well, statistically speaking, marriages or long term relationships that go the distance, the one thing they all have in common is they're having sex at least 2 to 3 times a week on average. When it falls below two a week, then you typically run into trouble because you got to have intimacy in the relationship. And if there's a lack of physical intimacy, there's going to be a lack of emotional and mental and spiritual intimacy. So you gotta have it, and the longer you're together, especially for us guys, is that it's common for a lot of people to fall in the pattern where it's like every other week they're having sex, especially have kids or whatever. It's like a twice a month thing,
Yeah.
and long term, that is typically leads to the demise of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And because the guy, especially if a guy gets to that point where they're only having sex every other week, for him, it's more so a release, and eventually the woman kind of picks up on that it's not real intimacy and closeness. It's just he wants to bust a nut and then go
Right.
back to what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then when she senses that, she tends to back away and become bitchy, and
Right.
because she doesn't want to just be a release.
Used. Yeah, she feels used.
So there's going to be times as a man where you're getting plenty of it, and if you're following what's in my book, typically what you're going to experience is the girl's always going to want sex more than you. And there's going to be times you're like, I'm tired tomorrow. It's just beat up your girl's pelvis and give her a good happy finish, even when you don't feel like it. And sometimes it'll feel like work, sometimes it'll feel like a job, sometimes it'll feel like an obligation, but it'll be really good for your relationship
Yeah.
if you're giving your girl 2 to 3 happy finish sessions
Mm-hmm.
per week. Statistically, it's good for the relationship. If it falls below two, it's usually a matter of time before the relationship ends, or you just become platonic roommates and then the girl doesn't become interested in sex at all.
Yeah. And you don't want that. You don't want to feel comfortable with the person because then there's really no, I feel like, sexual connection and you're just hanging out as a friend. Because when I used to date someone and we went a month or 2 months with nothing, and we both felt content with it, which is weird because like why are you content without having any type of intimacy? Like, are you even attracted to this person? Are you comfortable with this person? Like, and then at one point I started thinking, am I asexual, which is you're not really interested in sexual acts with other people, or you don't get turned on or anything like that. And I started questioning my own sexuality, and I'm like, am I asexual? And I went to doctors to check, like maybe I have something wrong, because I was like a desert island. I wasn't turned on at all or interested in portraying in the act at all. And I'm just like, maybe it's me. And then I realized, no, it's the guy
Sweet
as well.
Caroline, all alone on a desert island.
Yeah, I'm just like, and then I questioned him. I'm like, you're not interested? Usually guys are like on the go, like bunny rabbits. And he's just like, I don't really care if we do or if we don't. And I'm like, well, that's an issue. That just means you're not really fully in there with me. And then when we broke up and we were over, whatever, and I was meeting new people, I realized, okay, the engine is back on. So clearly it
She's
was,
like, you ready to get your freak on?
yeah, I was like, okay, clearly the person that I was with, we just didn't have that chemistry. And that's a sign, okay, maybe we're not meant to be together. Because I don't want to be like that. I'm young.
But you were like that at one point.
I was at one point.
And
And
how long before it got to that point?
with that person, um, I feel like very early on into the relationship.
Months into it?
Yeah,
Like how many months in?
maybe like 2 months, 3 months.
Wow, after 2, 3 months, you
Yeah.
guys were like, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it's because we never had like, there was always like weird interruptions when it would happen. Like either he would finish too fast or it would last way too long or just got boring. I'm just like, okay, like I'd rather just not do anything with you if it's like this. So
But for the first 2 months, you guys were like rabbits?
not really, you know.
Not even in the
It's
beginning.
like a once a week kind of thing.
Friends with benefits that you
Like,
decided to be exclusive with.
yeah,
So there already was a lack of passion and
there was, yeah.
attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you were around. Maybe you started out as friends, kind of hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out, and then we started going out, dating. But I guess we were more into the connection as like
How long did you guys hang out before you started sleeping together?
Like 3 months. Yeah, 3 months.
So what I would typically what you see with that, because I'm dealing with the whole spectrum, mostly heterosexual guys,
Mm,
but I got a lot of clients that are lesbians, and I also have clients that are gay men.
yeah,
And most of the time, the gays and the lesbians that I'm talking to are the more masculine, more dominant type of essence,
yeah,
and they have the same problems. I've done phone sessions with lesbians. They're like, yeah, I've been with my girlfriend or my wife for 5 years, and we haven't had sex in 2 years.
that's
And then when
insane.
she tells me what is going on in their relationship and their interactions, he makes the same mistake that the heterosexual guys do. They stop leading,
Mm-hmm.
and what happens is they become so similar energetically that there's no real strong polarization. There's no strong masculine, strong feminine.
Yeah,
Because it's when it's very polarized that you're most drawn to one another. But if you act too similar, if the guy's effeminate and he's not really leading, he's not really got a purpose and a mission in life that he's trying to accomplish, he's just kind of going along to get along. There's no fire, there's no passion, there's no drive.
yeah,
Then what happens is you'll tend to become more masculine to make up for his lack of masculinity.
mm-hmm.
And then that's when the attraction goes away. It's because you're both kind of energetically on the same level. When that happens, it's like the sexual attraction and chemistry, it evaporates.
Right.
And so I've had lesbians that are like, we haven't had sex in 6 months, 2 years, whatever, and they start behaving like a aggressive, not aggressive or mean, but just being the leader, being the one in charge, being the alpha of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talked to them the next week, and they were like rabbits the whole weekend, just because she started leading and, in essence, acting like a man again.
Right.
And so when you describe your situation with that particular ex-boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell there was a lack of really strong sexual polarity in the beginning, and then the longer you guys were together, then it's just kind of like platonic friendship,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you just don't feel like being intimate or having sex with that person. The
Mm-hmm.
same thing will happen with a guy if the guy is dating a girl, it's boss girl, masculine energy, and she's always trying to take control, and so you feel like you're kind of always jockeying for a position of power in the relationship. That'll turn us guys off to the point where we don't want to have sex with the girl, because it's like
Right.
being with a beautiful woman
Mm-hmm.
who on the inside seems like a dude.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter how hot she is, if she's too masculine, you're just not even going to get a boner for her. And that's just a fact of life. And so I see that across the board in couples, gay, lesbian, straight. It's if there's not a strong sexual polarity,
Yeah.
there's usually a complete lack of desire for one another. And the way to make it return
Mm-hmm.
is to repolarize the relationship. And that requires a man to totally be in his masculine, because if he's not totally in his masculine, you're not going to feel safe enough moving back into your feminine and being submissive and letting him lead you to the promised land, so to speak.
Yeah. That's true. I felt like I was because if I'm the one bringing that up, I already feel masculine that I'm bringing that up because girls don't usually bring that up. It's the guy. Um, but yeah, after time, I just realized I'm like, I think I feel like I'm wasting away my youth that I could be just enjoying these little moments in life, and with this person, I'm not really getting that. So that relationship ended, and not immediately, but like obviously like a month later, I started going out with other guys. I'm like, oh, it's back. I'm not asexual. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy because I really thought that something was wrong with me. I was going to the doctor and I'm like checking my hormones, making sure everything's like balanced, and even the doctor would tell me, you're fine, like you're fertile, you're fine, you're ready to go. But
You're
it's
basically
just,
dating a dude that acted like a chick too much.
yeah, and I don't roll that way, so just didn't work.
The important thing is you weren't feeling emotions, strong emotions, or strong attraction.
Yeah. Big no no.